And the NYPD released several photos of the suspect this morning, warning residents he should be considered armed and dangerous. Let's get more on the investigation now from ABC senior investigative reporter Aaron Katersky, ABC News contributor and former FBI agent Brad Garrett, and ABC News White House correspondent Mary Alice Parks. Aaron, I want to start with you. What do we know about the suspect at this point? Because there seems to be a lot of focus on his social media posts.
He posted a number of things, what police have described as irrational rants about all sorts of subjects, including the subway and subway crime and Mayor Eric Adams here in New York City, but also about the war in Ukraine and Vladimir Putin. So authorities aren't sure whether those postings on YouTube amount to anything that could point to motive. They're taking a look at it. They're looking at the possibility that some ideological beliefs played a role. They're also looking to see whether any psychiatric issues played a role and might have motivated this shooting.
And Brad, Mayor Eric Adams has been pushing for a larger police presence in the subways. There were no officers at the 36th Street station, but this started on the train itself. And as Mike just said, you can't put a cop on every subway car. So what's the solution?
So even if you did, obviously that's unrealistic. How do you control the population coming into the train? You're talking about hundreds of thousands of people a day. You can't set up metal detectors. No one would ever be able to get on the subway. I mean, inherently, places like subways are just vulnerable. There's no really a way around that. Maybe exterior presence of the police at the stations themselves might be some deterrent. And obviously, intelligence, if you have information to be on the lookout for fill-in-the-blank person. But it is a really tricky thing trying to make public transit like bulletproof safe, because it by its nature, as I said before, it's not realistic to be able to do that. So, and I understand people's fear, taking kids, taking themselves, their wives, their girlfriends, etc., on the metro. But I think, being vigilant and keeping track of at least known people. I'm not suggesting Mr. James was known to the police, but it's things like that. Intelligence about people who have made odd postings or threats. I mean, this guy has said several things online, including, I just want to go shoot people. Now, you can't charge somebody because they say that, but it tells people like me that is exactly what he wants to do, and that's exactly what he did.
And Aaron, with no cameras working at that station, how did they end up IDing James as a suspect? Because first they just said person of interest. Today they upgraded that.
And they worked overnight to piece together that upgrade, and they did it in several ways. They tracked the purchase of the gun, to a 2011 purchase in Ohio, according to law enforcement sources. They also tracked the purchase of a gas mask, I believe, to eBay, that may help them identify the suspect. They found a number of items at the scene. We've seen the image of the bag there on the screen with smoke canisters, commercial fireworks. Phantom Fireworks sent us a statement saying that those were purchased near Racine, Wisconsin. And so they've linked some of these purchases together, Diane, with the eyewitness accounts and some of the images they were able to capture from other subway stations, him going in, perhaps him coming out. And that's how they were able to identify him and also upgrade him to the suspected gunman now.
And Mary Alice, federal law enforcement are also supporting this investigation. How are they helping?
Yeah, it's clear that they are trying to support this investigation because it's clear that it's become a multi-state investigation. I think there's big questions now about whether weapons could have moved across state lines. And any time such a big target like this is the target, something like the New York City subway station, the feds know that they have to be involved, that they have to help in any way, lend investigative power. This is something we heard from the White House, too. He wanted to make sure that FBI and DOJ was helping the NYPD with anything they needed in tracking down evidence or tracking down the suspect.
And Brad, police aren't calling this an act of terrorism, or at least not yet, and they've said they're not looking at it through that lens. How do they go about determining that?
So, first of all, I think they're looking for anything that would address ideology. In other words, if you go and look at ISIS, Al-Qaeda, mass shooters, they have said things online or to someone else, or they find literature. Let's say they found something, they didn't, obviously, but inside the U-Haul or other places that Mr. James has lived in, let's say, Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, to support the idea that he's following some extremist group versus somebody that just has this awful idea in their head that they want to go harm people for a lot of, as Aaron pointed out, illogical reasons. And so I think that's why they're drawing the line. There's just no earmarks. But it doesn't actually change how you investigate the case. You still have to put the evidence together, which clearly NYPD, with the Bureau and other people helping them, it sounds like if they're not there, they're almost there in being able to, if they arrest him, take him to trial, if need be.
And Aaron, one of the big concerns anytime we have a mass shooting or an attack is somebody's going to try to copy that. These copycat attacks happen all the time. So how are law enforcement officials trying to prevent from anyone else trying to replicate this now?
They held transit police over for an extra shift so they can double the number of officers down in the subways. That's more window dressing, though, to make commuters feel safe. As Brad suggests, it's very hard to stop. But they've been dealing with a rash of crime in the subway, not all of it, thank goodness, gunfire, but stabbings and shovings and all sorts of unsavory characters lurking. And they've been trying to get a handle on this. In this particular case, they're hoping that this suspect is on the run without his credit card, without his phone, without means of transportation. But they are also concerned that he may have still had something on his person that would enable him to do something else again, should he desire.
Yeah, so the big priority right now, obviously, finding that suspect. Mary Alice, what's the reaction from Washington to all of this?
Yeah, we haven't heard that much from the president, from the White House yet, Diane. They've made it clear that the president is getting updates, and the president himself sort of gave a call out just to the first responders and civilians that stepped into harm's way, said that he knows law enforcement can't rest until the suspect, the perpetrator, is apprehended. But I'm reminded of the fact that just this week we saw the president rolling out new regulations around gun control, and there's this push from this president to get Congress to act on gun safety. We normally see another push, a larger sort of reinvigorated push for gun safety when we have attacks like this, conversations about where weapons came from, if they were obtained legally or illegally, what else could be done. But so far, we have just seen all gun safety legislation completely stalled on Capitol Hill, and that has been an extreme point of frustration for this White House.
All right, ABC senior investigative reporter Aaron Katursky, ABC News contributor and former FBI agent Brad Garrett, and ABC News White House correspondent Mary Alice Parks. Thank you all.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.